The Mookie Betts trade is officially official, and I am rocking my Angels hat today because we're going to talk about part of it that did not happen. The Joc Pederson to the Angels trade, it is no longer going to happen, or at least as of right now. We'll see going forward if that's going to change. Maybe the Angels have to throw in a few more pieces because the fact that they traded Luis Rengifo, pretty much a basic average baseball player, for Joc Pederson, Ross Stripling, and a really good prospect at Andy Pages, that was like Christmas coming early for the Angels, and they butchered it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. But before we do that, of course, the Mookie Betts trade is something that is relevant. We're going to go ahead and deep dive into it because there's a few pieces going around, whereas opposed to the first time, the Dodgers actually didn't get the best amount, and same with the Red Sox. And this trade, this 2.0 trade, is actually better for both teams. So I'm okay with that. You guys have been crushing it lately. We gained another 1,000 subs yesterday. We are on the road to 200,000 before opening day, and the catchers and pitchers report this week, so we know it's coming up soon. So if you guys are not subscribed, if you guys like baseball videos, anything in between, go ahead and do so because we have a lot of content coming. I'm going to spring training in Arizona. I'm going to be doing some insane interviews. So if you guys do not want to miss that, subscribe. And without further ado, it's time to start talking baseball. So because there was so much drama surrounding this Mookie Betts, David Price to the Dodgers trade, we're going to go ahead and break it down team by team. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the LA Dodgers. What are they getting? Because again, some things have changed. There's a few pieces that were going to one team, now they're going to a different team. But in regards to the Dodgers, they're getting Mookie Betts, we all know that one, David Price, and they're also getting Brusdar Graterol, who was supposed to go to the Red Sox, but then the Red Sox, they didn't do their due diligence. They failed on the research end, and they projected him to be a starting pitcher, whereas I can tell you right now, just by looking at him, he throws a 101 mile an hour sinker. The only player that I've seen in my lifetime that has been able to do that on a consistent basis is Noah Syndergaard. So I could have told you that Brusdar could have been a relief pitcher in 2020. Now going forward, he could change and transition into a starting pitcher. We'll have to go ahead and see. So the Dodgers again, Price, Betts, Brusdar, and they also get an outfielder in Luke Raley, and I wanted to go ahead and look at this guy's stats to see how good he was. So in college, this guy was a monster. His final season at whatever college he played for, I didn't write that down, he had a 1,300 OPS, which is like Ted Williams, Barry Bonds numbers in college. So he's really good. Now, when he did go to the minors, he was pretty good in 33 AAA games. Luke Raley had 7 home runs and 878 OPS, and he can also play first base, but he is mainly known as an outfielder, and he plays pretty good outfield defense as well. And I think the Dodgers, they love guys that can play multiple positions. You have Max Muncy, Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, and now they have a young prospect in Luke Raley that honestly reminds me a lot of Alex Verdugo. So they gave Alex Verdugo to the Red Sox. We'll talk about the Red Sox haul in just a second. And they almost got him back in a young Luke Raley. So good for them. And then the last part of what the Dodgers get is they get the 67th pick of the 2020 draft. So the Dodgers, I feel like this trade is a whole lot better. They did have to give up a few more pieces. So we're going to talk about that right now. But Betts, Price, $48 million from the Boston Red Sox to cover half of David Price's contracts, and Brusdar Graterol with Luke Raley. That's an amazing trade right there for them. Now let's break down the Boston Red Sox side of things, because when you're trading a top player in Major League Baseball history, I was doing some research on Mookie Betts, and he's actually in the top like 25 to 30 best offensive seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. His best season has been better than any of Mike Trout's seasons. So put that into perspective. He is a once-in-a-lifetime player, so you better get a lot for him. And in the first trade, they really only got Brusdar and Verdugo, and I don't think that was enough, especially considering that the physical failed, and they were really getting a relief pitcher and an outfielder. That's not enough for Mookie Betts and David Price. Now this trade 2.0, I think it's a whole lot better. So they get Alex Verdugo. I think that he is going to be a stud for the Boston Red Sox. They also get Jeter Downs, who honestly I think is going to replace Dustin Pedroia going forward, because Pedroia, I love the guy, but we all know with his injuries and his future in question, we don't really have a second baseman for the future if you're a Boston Red Sox fan. So now you can plug in Jeter Downs. Let me read off his 2019 stats. In low A ball and double A ball combined, he had 24 home runs, 86 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, and an 888 OPS. So again, put that all into perspective. Take it with a grain of salt because this was in low A and double A. So he hasn't made it to triple A just yet, but he's young. He's 20 years old. I mean, you have a Jeter in Boston. No, he's not related to Derek Jeter because his first name is Jeter, last name Downs. So they're completely different. But as a Red Sox fan, it's kind of neat. Like, you have technically a Jeter as a Red Sox player, and he's probably going to be a pretty decent player as long as you stick him at second base. Don't do anything with Xander Bogaerts. He's improving on defense, and he just had an MVP season. He is going to be the cornerstone of that team. I truly think going forward, JD Martinez is not going to be the best player. It is now Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, JD, all combined. I think they're all going to be captains of that ship, and I'm excited to see what the Red Sox do going forward. Their pitching is going to be a little bit different in my opinion. Now we're going to talk about the other prospect that they got, because again, they got Verdugo, Jeter Downs, and then a catching prospect in Connor Wong. This dude is a savage behind the dish. Now again, the stats are a little bit different because he played in the same league as Jeter Downs. In 2019, low A and double A ball, he had 24 home runs, which is about the same as Jeter Downs. He had 82 RBIs, which is about the same as Jeter Downs. He had 11 stolen bases, which is actually pretty solid as a catcher, and an 878 OPS. So he's pretty much the Jeter Downs of catchers. Now the only thing is, he has a severe strikeout issue. So if he is going to make it in the major leagues, similar to what Bobby Bradley does for the Indians, he mashes in AAA and in the minors, but he strikes out a lot, and that doesn't translate all that well to the big leagues. So if Connor Wong can really get some plate discipline and figure out how to control his eyes and where his peak strike zone is and where he shouldn't swing when it's at its lowest, I think that he is going to be a really good player. Christian Vasquez is already a pretty solid option for the Boston Red Sox, so it's not like they're going to have to speed along Wong. That rhymed, don't call me a rapper, but I truly think that for the Dodgers and the Red Sox, they made out like bandits in this trade. So good for them. They got better without really doing too much. And also guys, the Boston Red Sox are now under the luxury tax line. So in 2021, they can re-sign Mookie Betts. I don't know if it's going to happen because the cord kind of has been cut, but Cliff Lee went back to the Phillies, and then we also have Aroldis Chapman going back to the Yankees. So hey, it could happen. Now, there is one more team that was involved in this trade. Obviously, we talked about Brusdar Graterol going to the Dodgers as opposed to the Red Sox, how it was structured in the first trade. So the second trade, Brusdar goes to the Dodgers. He comes from the Minnesota Twins. So they were still able to get that Kenta Maeda Brusdar trade done, but as opposed to him going to the Red Sox, he is now going to the Dodgers. And I truly think that the Dodgers are even better now because of this, because you get Brusdar to combine with Blake Treinen and Kenley Jansen. I mean, even if you put him in your starting rotation as a fourth or fifth guy or someone that pitches every 8 days, the Dodgers are so good in 2020, it's scary. And then the Twins, while Kenta Maeda is pretty good, his best season came back in 2016 when he had a 3.48 ERA. They also got a minor leaguer and cash. We're talking about the Twins. I think that this is a good short-term trade because the Twins, what do they lack? Really, the only thing is starting pitchers. So they get Kenta Maeda. I mean, he had a 4.04 ERA in 2019. He has some pretty good strikeout per 9 numbers, but his control and the home runs he gives up can sometimes become an issue. So hopefully the Twins are able to bring that down. Sometimes they're able to get a pitcher for 1 year and really figure out how to get the most out of him, like Jake Odorizzi and Kyle Gibson. So if Kenta Maeda is a beast in Minnesota, as an Indians fan, I am not looking forward to that. But speaking of the Indians, so we talked about all of the trades, the Dodgers, who they get, the Red Sox, the Twins, everything has been covered. Now, the one thing that is not happening is Joc Pederson to the LA Angels. And if you're an Angels fan, I feel so bad for you right now. You had, I mean, instead of getting a PS5 for Christmas, it was taken out of your hands and you were given coal. What was supposed to happen is the Dodgers were supposed to be sending Joc Pederson, a superstar outfielder in my opinion. He had a 3.3 WAR in 2019, participated in the home run derby. He wasn't very good against left-handed pitchers, but he's a lefty hitter. That's going to happen. Joc Pederson, Ross Stripling, who's never had an ERA over 4, and then also Andy Pages, a stud 19-year-old. And then all of a sudden, Art, I don't even know what his name is, the owner of the Angels, or maybe it was the GM, Art Moreno, I think that's his name. He was impatient and he declined and vetoed the trade. He reneged it. He took it back. What are you doing? Joc Pederson would have fit in perfect to that lineup. And not only that, but you got Ross Stripling, someone to bolster your rotation, and you decided to say no? Come on. Joc Pederson just lost his arbitration case, so instead of getting paid $9.5 million, he's only making $7.5 million for a 30 home run hitter and someone that plays pretty decent defense as an outfielder in that same lineup with Justin Upton, so he'd have less pressure on his shoulder, so he might be able to mash a little bit better. Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon. Why would you do this? So apparently, and I don't know if it's going to happen going forward because for right now it's dead, Joc Pederson is not going to be a member of the Angels, so discussions are about to be reopened, and I am hoping that the Indians are the #1 team going forward because, to be honest, it makes the most sense. Joc Pederson is not good against left-handed pitchers, but who is? Jordan Luplow was the best hitter against lefties in 2019, and he's an outfielder for the Indians. So if the Indians can trade for Joc Pederson, you can have a platoon out there with Pederson with a 9-something OPS against righties, Luplow with an 1100 OPS versus lefties. That is going to scare any single pitching staff because if it's a lefty one day, you have Jordan Luplow. If it's a righty the next day, you have Joc Pederson. I would be all about that. So the Indians, I think the Indians should put their name in the hat and really go for Joc Pederson, have that platoon. I think the other two teams that would really benefit from a Joc Pederson trade, one being the Texas Rangers. I think that you could have a Willie Calhoun, a Joey Gallo in center field, and a Joc Pederson outfield. That would match. I mean, you have a 300 home run team easily. And then last but not least, the St. Louis Cardinals, because they lost out on a ton. I mean, they didn't get Nolan Arenado. They lost out on Marcell Ozuna. So if they can get Joc Pederson, they're back in business. The power is back in that outfield. They'll be set. So guys, that pretty much does it for the recap of the last couple, 24 hours. I was out looking for a cat yesterday because I'm starting to feel lonely in my place because it's really just me and I haven't really furnished it all the way just yet. So I was looking for a kitty. I was off my phone and I didn't realize that the Joc Pederson trade completely fell through. So a lot to recap. I hope that you guys learned a lot. If you did, again, hit that subscribe button. We're not done yet. We have some more stuff to talk about. If you're a San Francisco Giants fan, make sure you listen up because Aramis Garcia, the backup option for the Giants at the catching position, he will be out for 8 months. He injured his hip, so I hope that he comes back healthy. So in the last couple of days, we've lost James Paxton, we've lost Aramis Garcia, so it really just goes to show that nothing is ever set in stone. Injuries will play a part in who is the best team and the World Series winner of 2020, so keep that in mind. And then last but not least, again, because it is Black History Month, I do want to go ahead and highlight a few players. Growing up, there was a book called Satchel and Me, and it quickly became my favorite book as a kid. I read this a couple times. It was a book about Satchel Paige and a kid that he could, if he found a baseball card, he could go back in time and actually hang out with these players. And I learned a lot about Satchel Paige. He played in about 2,500 games. He won about 2,000 of them. He had 250 or so shutouts with the personal best of 22 Ks in one game, about 50 no-hitters, a 21-game winning streak, and a 62-inning scoreless streak. And also, there was a time that I read in the book that he was so confident in himself that he told all of his fielders to go into the dugout. So that's how special Satchel Paige was. I wanted to go ahead and highlight him. Thank you guys for watching. We are on the road to 200K before opening day. We're going to get there because you guys have been killing it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.